proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Hey, let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentence for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
We now turn to a Fox News alert. President Biden is expected to issue a pardon for his son, Hunter.
Shocking.
Yes, Biden said on multiple occasions that he would not pardon his son, or he whispered it, or commute his sentence. The pardon comes ahead of Hunter's December 12th sentencing for his conviction on federal gun charges. Hunter is also set to be sentenced on tax evasion charges December 16th. None of that's going to happen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, I'm finally going to be talking about the actual Hunter Biden situation, and then I'll be talking about the assassination of Brian Thompson. So, interesting stuff going on today. So, we have this here that, as I said, this is not really surprising, right? This is not really surprising to all of us that Joe Biden was going to pardon his son. But the media is very surprised with this and shocked that this has even happened, even though this was part of the course. The problem that we have with this is that Biden has said that he was not going to do this. He was not going to pardon his son, and lying to the American people. So without further ado, this is the MSNBC really trying to defend the situation here of why Joe defended Hunter Biden and all that great stuff. So without further ado, here's the clip.
I just heard it. I have to process it. I don't have a take. I'm sorry.
Anyone, Michelle, Mary, presidential power in action on President Biden pardoning his son.
I mean, look, I don't think that Democrats can uphold all of these norms single-handedly. Hunter Biden was prosecuted for a crime that kind of a normal person who had committed the same crime would almost certainly not be prosecuted for. And Joe Biden bent over backwards not to intervene in order to show, sort of how much of a respecter of norms he was, unlike Donald Trump. But, yeah. We see kind of what that got him. And I certainly understand why, why he would not want to forfeit the future and life of his son to uphold a set of norms that are about to go up in smoke.
What do you think of this, Mary? The president had said that he would not seek a pardon for his son, and here we are using presidential power. Is this now kind of a blank check to the incoming administration to use whatever power is at its disposal for whatever things it wishes to achieve?
Well, as you know, the pardon power is absolute. It is one of those powers that is exclusively given to the president. And I do think, people will be asking Joe Biden what changed, because he did say pretty clearly he was not planning to pardon his son. I will note we are ending a Thanksgiving Day weekend, and I'm sure the family was all together, and I'm sure that caused him to think long and hard. But I will be interested to hear what he has to say about what changed. Michelle is right that the crimes that Hunter Biden was prosecuted for are things that would not ordinarily result in the types of prosecution we saw. And I don't think that issuing a pardon opens the floodgates to abuses of other types of power, because a pardon is part of that exclusive authority of the president. We know that the incoming president has already talked about various types of pardons. I'm hoping he will not engage in all of those that he has suggested, particularly with respect to the January 6th attackers, those who attacked the U.S. Capitol. But that all, of course, remains.
Yeah, so they're defending Joe Biden here, right? They're saying like, oh, well, it's fine because emotionally, we made a long good thought of, over Thanksgiving, of him not being there and stuff like that. The problem that we have here is that he lied. And this is not something that I'm surprised about. I mean, the Democratic Party, this is their mantra. This is their ability to do so. I'm not really shocked by this. But the point being is that Joe Biden did this. Joe Biden is responsible, and he said to the American people that I was not going to pardon my son, which he ends up pardoning his son. And the media is just trying their best to defend this, which is really, really impossible to do. And it's just not going well on their front side. It's not just doing what they supposedly want to do. And CNN has something to say about this, about the whole Joe Biden situation on, really somewhat in shock of what's going on here. And, it's not looking not too great.
CNN has learned President Biden will pardon his son, Hunter Biden. CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny, I believe, is with us. Jeff, can you hear me?
And Jessica, yes.
Okay, what are you learning?
Look, we are just getting a statement from President Joe Biden. He's saying that today he signed a pardon for my son, Hunter, and he goes through the reasoning why. Of course, Hunter is facing a sentencing later this month, but this is really a monumental moment for President Biden. He said several months ago in June, when he was still seeking a re-election, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden, but now we are learning he is. And let's just read through this statement quickly together. He said, "Today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted." So this is a fairly long statement, about 4 or 5 paragraphs from President Biden, but really going through why he is making this decision. He also goes on to say this. He said, "No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out because he is my son, and that is wrong." He goes on to say there's been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. So, of course, Jessica, let's take a step back. You obviously covered the Biden campaign along with me, and this is something that Hunter Biden has been dealing with. This was a tax case, a gun case. He went through his trial in Delaware. There was another case in Los Angeles. But this is really the culmination of President Biden really making the decision tonight to sign a pardon for his son, Hunter, not just a commutation of a possible sentence, but a pardon, which certainly will be part of President Biden's legacy going forward.
So yeah, even CNN is just shocked by this whole revelation. I mean, it's not really shocking, but yes. I mean, Donald Trump weighs in on this, right, and says, does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6th hostages, who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and a miscarriage of justice. So, yeah, and I think this is where the Democrats are in a very tough spot, right? Because we have this where whatever they do, they just can't make it. I mean, Karine Jean-Pierre is really just getting her butt handed to her. And then now we have where the media has been told and said that they're not going to, that Joe Biden is not going to pardon his son, which ended up happening. So it's crazy. You even have this here. Joe Biden makes history as first president to pardon his criminal son. He's becoming the first for everything apparently nowadays. And, of course, we have this with Kyle Cheney on what Biden's statement on pardoning his son. So we have this here, pretty much saying, statement from President Joe Biden, this is from Kyle Cheney, posting this, or giving out the list, here it says, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making. And I kept my word even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggregating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who are late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but pay them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently." I don't think that's the case. I think that they gave Hunter the wrong type of case, but they should have been treated for the Burisma scandal, which we'll be getting into. We have, again, it goes on to say, "The charges in his case came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed by the two by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. And trying to break Hunter, they tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. That's a statement. But there's more to this, right? So, he has pardoned Biden for 11-year period, dating all the way back to the Burisma of 2014. So we'll be going over this as well. But for the final part of this, he says, for my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has affected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. Which, again, I'm not really surprised that we would pardon his son, but the fact is that you lied to the American people. You said you would not pardon your son. You're giving your dumb reasons as to why you're pardoning him, but you lied to the American people, and now you make all media and everybody else look like idiots. Goes on to say here, so this is a full-on pardon. Child says, wow, this pardon is sweeping. Any crimes he committed for or may have committed for an 11-year period. It says, Robert Hunter Biden, for a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st. For 24, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including that have resulted in convictions by special counsel. David C. Weiss in docket number 123, etc., etc., in the United States District Court for the District of Delaware in docket 2023, etc., etc. A testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the pardon to be recorded with the Department of Justice. So yeah, this is dating back all the way to Burisma, right? To 2014, 11 years. So Joe Biden also pardoned himself. And of course we have the media here pretty much, saying don't believe your blind lies, Biden has never been sharper, and all that stuff, right? And they're pretty much saying, he could pardon him. And Politico even goes on to say that we haven't seen a pardon as sweeping as Hunter Biden's in generations. We have Wall Street Journal Mav saying, Step 1, Hunter's Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. Step 2, Hunter's laptop was real, but it's old news. Step 3, Hunter gets a full pardon for everything he admitted to on his laptop since 2014. So yeah, Biden essentially pardoned himself because it was pretty much everybody that was within that time frame gets a pardon as well. So yeah, it's not just because he pardoned Hunter Biden, his son, he also pardoned himself. So this is showing that Joe Biden is a criminal, and this is all is going to, and the media is losing their minds over it, and this is kind of where we're at now, right? So we'll see how it goes, but this is just another example of the Democrats being corrupt and pardoning themselves. I still think Hunter should have been brought under the charges of the Burisma case, but that's not what happened, right? So now we see that Democratic Party is not the party of moral high ground; they're a moral of immoral high ground. So that's where we go. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, guys, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.